Welcome back, everybody. My name is Dave Hayes, and this is Hayes Tech and ROM Reviews. This is the channel where we talk about pretty much anything tech, and I do mean anything. Now, before I go any further, I just want you all to know that I have received your comments and suggestions toward videos that you guys want me to put out. I will be doing a video about what's on my Android again, although it really hasn't changed much since my last video I did like that. So just to let you guys know, as soon as I get a chance, I will be doing a video like that, and I do read comments, so be looking for that video to come soon. Now, what I want to talk about today is lenses. And yes, I know this is not the kind of video a lot of you wanted to see, but I have gotten questions. There are a couple of you out there who are trying to start your own YouTube channel and have asked me questions, and I told you in the past that I have no problems answering every question I possibly can. And your questions were concerning lenses. You asked me what kind of lenses I have and what kind of lenses I recommend. So, when we come back, we're going to go ahead and talk lenses and what I recommend to start out with for YouTube. And as always, if you liked my video, don't forget to hit that like button and share my videos. It really helps me out. And if you're new to the channel and you like what you saw, think about subscribing. And if you subscribe, don't forget to hit that notification bell icon. That way you get a notification of my videos as soon as I release them. Alright, so this video is going to be on lenses, and I wanted to talk about what kind of lenses should you get if you're starting out, a YouTube channel. And I'm going to go through them really quickly right now, and then we're going to head outside. I'm going to show you how they work and what are some of the features to these lenses. Now, the first thing I'm going to tell you all is I use Canon cameras. I'm going to be discussing lenses for Canon cameras only. I'm not going to talk about Fuji, or Sony or any of the other ones. I'm just going to be discussing lenses for Canon. So those are the E mount, the EF mount, and the EFS mount lenses, and of course M mount for my M50 over there, but for the most part we're going to be talking about EF and EFS mount lenses. So the first lens I want to talk about is the 18 to 55 millimeter EFS lens from Canon. Again, this is for their larger frame cameras, their EOS Rebel type cameras. So they're not for the M mount. I can use these lenses, these EF and EF lenses, on my M50, but I have to use an adapter, and these adapters are by Viltrox. Now, they have an adapter that has a magnifying lens in it. I don't know if you guys can see that. Yeah, okay. This one actually has a magnifying lens in it, but this one will only accept EF lenses. It will not accept any of the EFS lenses. They also, Viltrox and Canon also has a mount that has nothing in the middle. All it does is connect both EF and EFS lenses to the M mount camera, to my M50. So I can use all of my lenses on my Canon M50 just with these two mounts. So if you guys have a Canon M50, I recommend, number one, first off, get these, okay? The one with the magnification to it is going to run you a little over $100. The one without magnification is going to run anywhere from $30 to $50, depending on where you get it at. So these are a must if you own like the Canon M50 or some of the newer digital Canon cameras that they have out nowadays. So I'm going to get that out of the way right off the bat. Alright, back to the 18 to 55 millimeter lens. This is a very nice lens, and the reason I like this one better, I actually have two of them. One that come with my T5i and one that came with my 90D. And the one that came with my 90D is actually a bigger lens. Even though they are the exact same lenses, this one's a little bigger. And this one actually stops down to 3.5 millimeters, and the one that came with my T5i, it only stops down to 4.5. So you get a full stop with this lens. The older lens, you don't get that. So if I had to say that if you could only get one lens, and that's all you could afford, and you wanted to start a YouTube channel, but you wanted a lens that would do both this kind of video, and also, you know, handheld vlogging videos, and if you want a little bit of zoom, this is the perfect lens. I can't recommend this enough. You need to have this lens in your arsenal of lenses. So this one here probably gets my biggest recommendation, and it's a clear lens and it works great. Went ahead and switched the lens. I am running with the EFS 18 to 55 millimeter right now. This camera really likes this lens. It works great. It's actually picking up my eye through my glasses. I can actually see that, and it's pretty cool. But this kind of gives you an idea of what it looks like. Now I'm going to go ahead and walk up here and do a zoom real quick. Right now we are down to 18 millimeters. We're going to go ahead and zoom up to 55 millimeters. That's 24, 35, 55. So that's a 55 millimeter right there. I recommend getting this lens here. It's an outstanding lens. Great for vlogging, great for, you know, just getting some really cool shots. Number 2. Now, if you can afford to get a second lens, I highly recommend getting a zoom lens. That way, if you're into videoing, say, animals or skyline, stuff like that, I recommend getting the Canon EFS 55 to 250 millimeter lens. Okay, now this one here, the stop starts at 4.5, so it's not going to be as you know, bokeh effect, you know, as it would if it was, you know, f3.5 or, you know, f2 or lower than that. But still, this thing will reach out a long ways. So you have to remember, these things are labeled and designed for full-frame cameras. Now, no, this isn't designed to hook into a full-frame camera, but when they label them, this is a 55 to 250 millimeter lens. What that means is, if this lens was on a full-frame sensor, so a full-frame sensor gives you a 1-to-1 ratio aspect, and of course these are a crop sensor. What that means is, instead of this being a 55 to 250 millimeter, it is now more like a 70 to 325 millimeter lens. So this is a great lens. Believe me, I'm going to show you footage of me zooming out. I've actually got some geese going down a different river that I went to, and you're going to get to see that. This is a nice clear lens. It doesn't have a lot of blur around the edges, or it doesn't get dark around the edges until you zoom out the whole way. Lens number 2, you know, if you can only afford to get 2 lenses, number 1, get the 18 to 55 millimeter. Number 2, get the 55 to 250 millimeter zoom lens. Okay, I am now shooting with the EFS 55 to 250 millimeter lens, and I am about as far away as I was with the 50 millimeter prime. This is not recommended for a vlogging camera unless, like, you have a lapel microphone and a fairly long cable. If you wanted to hold the camera, you know, handheld, you would just be so close, they'd be looking up your nostrils. So, but this is a great lens. Say you're shooting wildlife or something like that, this is the lens you want to get, because this is going to be able to reach out and just pull those images in. And remember, with a cropped sensor, the 250 millimeter rating for this lens is actually about a 350 millimeter lens. So this thing will reach out quite a ways. So I'm going to go ahead and get out from in front of the lens and let you guys see what this looks like out there. Okay, so right now we are at 55 millimeters. I'm going to go ahead and zoom out to 250. Now I will say that the zoom ring on this lens is really smooth. One thing you cannot do with this lens though is adjust the focus while you have it in autofocus. It just won't let you. Now I'm going to go ahead and zoom back in. And I will say that when you are zoomed in, as far as it'll go, or zoomed out I guess, whenever you have the tightest shot, you do get a little bit of vignetting around the edges. It gets a little blurry and a little dark around the edges. And that's just, you know, that's what you get when you get a lens that is about $180 new. I've seen these sell used for, you know, $50. I am going to try to zoom in on the geese. He's walking right by me. The third lens that I highly recommend everybody have, and that is a Nifty 50. What is a Nifty 50? A Nifty 50 is just what it says. It is a 50mm prime lens. Prime lens means, no, it's not a high super quality prime lens. No, that's not what it means. Prime means that it can't adjust. It only has one view, and that's 50mm. You can't zoom in, zoom out, you know, and all that. It's just 50mm. But what that gives you is they're able to open up that aperture really, really wide, all the way down to, I think this is 1.8. The aperture in here, the aperture, what that is that little screen that closes on the inside and opens. This thing will open up huge, letting in a tremendous amount of light. Now, what does that do? Well, that gives you a really super crisp image that you're focused on, and then anything in the background gets really blurred out. So if you want one of those, you know, talking heads video where you are focused in really well but your background is really blurred out, this is what you want. Maybe you don't want a 50mm, then I recommend getting, you know, at least a 35mm or even a 25mm prime lens. Again, they're great for photography. You get that really nice blurred bokeh background on it, and it just it opens up to f1.5. That means when you look at this and it's hooked to the camera and it's stopped all the way down to f1.8, that little iris in the middle is going to be way open. I mean, it is really weird to look at, but you know, it is what it is. When I actually purchase lenses these days, I'm looking for a lens that I can stop down. I don't like to get the ones that will only go down to like 4.5. I will if I have to, but for the most part, I like to get those lenses that will stop down to at least 3.5, and I'd like to get them down into the 2 range. So, alright. Okay, so now I switched to the Nifty 50 is what they're called. This is a young, new, I think it's a Chinese or a Japanese made lens. Now, I don't think the quality is quite there that you get with a Canon 50, Nifty 50, but bear in mind that both the Canon and this lens are both made out of plastic. This kind of lens you would want to use for definitely not vlogging. Like say if you were going to do B-roll, or if you wanted to capture a shot that had a really nice bokeh effect or with a nice blurred background, you'd want to pick this. Now, you're not going to get that really blurred background right now because I have it stopped up to f14. But this lens will go down to 1.8, which will give you that really nice blurred background. And that's one of the reasons why we go with a lens like this. So I'm going to go ahead and step out of the way of the lens, and I'm going to let you see what it looks like if we were shooting background footage with a Nifty 50. Alright, focusing on that tree in the middle. The background is kind of blurry. I'm going to go ahead and change the f-stop, and we're going to take it down. Now this is going to brighten the picture. We're going to go ahead and go back up again to get the color back. Okay, there's f14, that's about right. I'm going to go ahead and focus on that stone block and try to get the background to blur. So there you go. That's what you can expect with a 50mm prime lens. So that takes care of that. That's 3 lenses I recommend. Let's say you've been at making videos for a while. You're actually making a little bit of money on YouTube. Believe me, even if you have, 2,500 subscribers and put out videos every freaking week, that doesn't mean you're going to make a lot of money on YouTube. I think I made $300 last year, and it's starting to look that way again this year. But let's say you're like me, and that money that you get goes right back into your channel, and you want to upgrade with a lens. I've got 2 more. The first one I'm going to talk about is this one here, and this is another one of those vlogging lenses. And this lens is truly a vlogging lens. This is a Canon EFS 10 to 22mm lens. So what are you going to do with a 10mm lens? Well, that 10mm lens is going to allow you to hold it, arm's length away, and still be able to get your whole head. You're going to get a shot like what you're seeing in this camera right now off of this lens at a bent arm about that far away. And it might even look, wider than that. Again, you guys are going to see in the video, because I have demonstrations of each one of these lenses outside, just like we're vlogging. So if you're into landscape shooting, this is a perfect lens for that, because it really opens up wide. So that also lends itself to being a very good vlogging lens. When I'm out vlogging and stuff, I usually run this lens here, and I usually have it all the way up to 22mm, either 20 or 22mm, because that really gives it looks like what you're seeing right here at about 20 to 22mm. Also, you notice the glass on the front is much bigger than the glass on this one. This one here is a 58mm, and this one here is a 77mm. What that does is allow it just lets way more light in, which allows you to stop down a little bit more and gives you much better looking images, both in video and pictures. Now, this camera is a little bit on the heavy side. It also does not have any image stabilization built into it, but again, when it's that wide, you're not going to see much shake in a lens this wide. I also recommend getting a filter for it. This is a variable ND filter, so again, I highly recommend it. Now I am running my 10 to 22mm lens, and I switched to manual mode on this. I was running in AF mode. Manual mode lets me control a lot more. It's a really bright day out today, and I do have a filter on here. Let me show you how that works. It's a variable ND filter, so if I rotate the filter, notice how it's getting darker. I can get it almost black and keep rotating it, and actually that looks pretty good. I'd like to be able to see more of the sky, but I'm not going to be able to do that. But look how bright it gets now. It's completely blown out. Right about there is where I would normally have it. Now, again, this is a 10 to 22mm. This is a really wide lens. Right now I have it at its widest setting, and what I'm going to do is take it into its 22mm setting. Now, the reason I like this lens is because, to me, this is a perfect vlogging lens. It works great. It's got just about the right amount of real estate. You don't get that warping effect on the outside, and I can actually take it out to about 20mm, 18 to 20, and let me show you. See, that's about 20mm there, which is almost perfect. We'll take it about to 18, about there, 18, 19. That, to me, is actually the perfect vlogging distance. I can actually touch the lens without my arm being completely extended. That's how close this camera is. So that means my microphone is close and everything just works. I love this lens, and this lens is specifically for, at least in my point of view, for vlogging. Now, you could also use this lens for landscape shooting. Now, you're going to get that kind of warped edge, and I'm going to show you that. I'm going to go ahead and turn it around, and we'll get that same view and let you guys see what that looks like. Okay, so we are now looking at that same shot that we were looking at earlier, and you all can see I'm going to go ahead and zoom it into its tightest shot. That is at 22 millimeters, and notice you can hardly even see the goose in the background. And they're right now they are actually about 50 feet away, 50 maybe 75 feet away from me. So again, this lens lends itself to being a great lens for doing landscape photography. Even at its zoomed in scope, you get a lot of background. And if I zoom it all the way out, now we can see all the mountains in the background. And I'm trying to focus on the trees out there, and now I will focus on the fence. Again, if you guys are looking for lenses, the reason I'm putting this video out is so it's going to take the guesswork out of it for you all. Do you want a vlogging lens? If you do, I recommend this lens. It's a beautiful lens. Okay, moving on. My last wildcard lens is actually running on that Canon right now. That lens happens to be a 28 to 135 millimeter f3.5 lens from Canon. Again, that lens is something like this one, but this is an EF-S lens. That one on that camera is an EF lens. But that lens has image stabilization built into it, and this lens doesn't. Also, the outside lens on it is a 72 millimeter. So if you're going to get any filters or anything like that, make sure you get a 72 millimeter. Now, what I did is, since I already have filters for my 77 millimeter, I bought one of those step downs so that I can screw it on and then just use my filters from my 77 millimeter lens. Now, plus that one that you're looking through right now has image stabilization built into it. So it is an older lens, and I did get that one used for $92, I think it was. 28 to 135 millimeter EF lens. Canon makes two lenses for their fuller or their bigger size cameras. They are EF and EF-S. This is the EF lens, so it is the older style lens. The newer style is the EF-S, which is made specifically for their crop censored cameras like this 90D. And of course, this is an EF lens, which means that this lens was made for the full frame cameras. But the nice thing about it is they will also work on any of the EOS Rebel line. So again, this is the EF 28 to 135. It is the older style, so that's at 135 zoom. It does not have a very smooth zoom. As you can see, the shaking. I'm going to take it all the way down to 28. That is at 28 millimeters. Now remember, this is a crop censored camera, so it's actually more like a 35 millimeter or a 40 millimeter lens right now. Now, I didn't get this for vlogging. I have another lens for that. We're going to switch to that here in a minute, but I wanted to kind of show you guys what all you could do with this lens. So we're going to go ahead and zoom in again. One of the nice things about this lens, since it's one of the older style, is I can actually grab the focus ring and I can turn it and manually focus the lens. Now on the newer style, the EF-S lenses, you can't do that. So that's another reason why I like to get these older lenses. Okay, right now it is at 135 millimeter zoom. All right, let's go ahead and move to a different lens. This one I got used for about $225 to $250. You can buy the 55 to 250 used for about $60 to $80. New, they're about $149. The Canon kit lenses, these come with the cameras. Again, I highly recommend, if you can only get one lens, go ahead and get the kit lens with your camera, because believe me, most of the time you're not even going to have to pay for it. They just include it with the camera. But if you can only have one lens, get this one. Again, this one here has a 52 millimeter lens on the front of it. So if you're going to get any kind of filters, you want to get a 52mm for this. Alright, well guys, I hope you got something out of this video, and I hope you got a chance to see what these lenses look like, you know, the differences between them, why you want to get this one as opposed to the other one. I tried to keep the video short, but you know, in order for me to give you any kind of examples of how these things look, looking through the camera, through the lens, and to explain each and every one of these lenses takes a little bit of time. So I am sorry about that. I'm not going to sit here and talk and yap away and extend this video much longer. I do want to say though that my wife is going to be giving away a handmade quilt. She's actually working on one right over here. You can see it. Pretty sure you can see it. Let me see if I can. Yeah, you guys can. Let me see if I can zoom in on that quilt that she's working on. Right there. Right. Let me see if I can point to it. Right here in the background. Now, that's not the quilt she's going to be giving away, but she is going to be giving away a quilt. So remember, she's going to be making a quilt for me to have a giveaway on this channel for anybody here in the United States. If you win in the giveaway, I will be giving my PC webcam, the good one, not the lower quality one, but the really good one. It is a 1080p video camera with outstanding image quality. Okay, so that's pretty much all I have. If you're new to the channel, you like what you saw, think about subscribing. Don't forget to hit that notification bell icon to get notified of any videos as soon as I release them. I want to thank each and every one of you out there for following me for as long as you have. That's all I have. I will see you all on the next one. See you later. Got a lot of cameras to show.